we got some breaking news just before we actually started recording, and that is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has missed training and most likely won't be available tomorrow. I mean, if he even misses training, I doubt he will be there. Now, the information is a bit vague at this present moment of time. Charles Watts is the man who reported it, and in his article, he says that he's unwell. But that's a suggestion. He could have just skipped training and just not turned up, which obviously opens a massive can of worms, especially for a club captain. What are your initial thoughts? Because obviously you've heard it as long as I have, so you haven't really had time to digest it. So what are your initial thoughts?
It's a little bit convenient, isn't it?
Yeah. The Ozil unwell thing.
Yeah, and it's always us. I don't see this often with other clubs, and I'm not suggesting foul play. I'm not suggesting he skipped training like an unprofessional. He comes across as one of the most professional players in the squad, and I don't think he's like skipped training in a bad mood or something like that. But we have had a lot in the past where you remember leaks coming out where Emery might have told Ozil or Ramsey or someone high of stature in the club, well, you're not going to be playing this weekend. And all of a sudden they're ill, or all of a sudden they've got a slight injury that means they're not going to be part of the squad or part of the bench. And it always tends to happen when either A, we're playing poorly, or B, the player is playing poorly. And it's not exclusive to Aubameyang. It's not exclusive to Ozil. There's been a bunch of Arsenal players that it's happened to randomly at times. I think it happened to Van Persie a couple of times, and it came out there was maybe like an argument or two. I feel like it maybe happened with Alex Song once or twice, and it's a bit convenient that at the exact time you're out of the squad potentially. At the exact time, the media are criticizing your performances. At the exact time, legends like Thierry Henry are potentially criticizing Arteta's decisions for either subbing him off or not starting him.
Yeah.
You're unwell. Like it seems like a little bit of a convenient cop-out to avoid having him just on the bench. And I don't like that feeling. If he is unwell, again, we had all of these discussions last season and he had malaria. So exactly. I don't like thinking it. But with the conversation being if he was 100% fit, there's no guarantee he was going to start or even play in the first place.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're unwell. I don't know. It seems a bit fishy simply because of the amount of time it happens to Arsenal and Arsenal players.
And especially the amount of times it's happened with players under Mikel Arteta. Like, this is not the first time that a player has sort of fallen out of favour, and we've had these comments come out, and you only have to look at Mesut Ozil, Matteo Guendouzi, Socrates, Mustafi, Kolasinac, all these players have had these issues with Arteta, and I guess that will be my next question a bit. In terms of for Aubameyang, obviously if he's unwell and he's actually unwell, then fair enough. But I think I've said this every single time that a situation like this has come out. It's just be honest. Fans would much prefer you being honest, and I get you're protecting the player, but if the player is throwing a fit for not starting and he's unhappy because of that, be honest about it. I always remember when West Ham came out and basically said that Dimitri Payet didn't want to train anymore with West Ham because he wanted to leave. I respected Slaven Bilic so much for him just coming out and just being straight with the press and with everyone. And he obviously knew that was going to be a story, but he was honest with his fans, and it was a bad situation for him to be in, but he was just honest. And if something has happened in the training ground with Arteta and Aubameyang, I'd rather Arteta just be honest about it, because I think he would actually get much more support than I know. A lot of people are not on Arteta's side at this present moment in time, and obviously we're two people that are probably not on his side either. But like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would respect him for coming out and have a go at the so-called club captain. But again, because everything's so vague, we have to sort of believe at this present moment in time that he is just unwell and he hasn't skipped training because he's having a hissy fit or he was just not in the team. So
I think the strange thing for me is Arteta had his press conference before the news broke about Aubameyang. And he didn't mention anything about it in the press conference, where he spoke about Emile Smith-Rowe being back and likely being in the squad. He mentioned someone else, I think, being fit. So they discussed, I guess, availability. They discussed who's likely to be in and around the squad. If Aubameyang, if training happened today, and today was the training session that he missed, if he's unwell, Arteta knew that before the press conference. Why not mention it? Why allow... And someone like Charles Watts, who's fantastic at the job that they do, why allow that to break in the media? Why would you not want to get ahead of that?
Yeah, like that's the thing. He could have easily controlled the narrative, and that's why I think a lot of Arsenal fans, and probably me included in this, probably think it's something else rather than him just being unwell and there's a situation here. And now it's going to create something that's... It's a situation now, and like Arsenal now have to try and fix this. And he's our highest paid player by a country mile. He's our captain. He's our top goal. Like he's probably our top goal scorer. Like he's basically our supposed talisman. Even if he hasn't played well this season, I still think he's better than the other options we have because the other options are so bad. And I'm still, but like if Arteta's basically saying, "Oh, you need to spell out the team," and he's had an argument, then it doesn't look good on him. And to be fair, it doesn't look good on Arteta because I know Arteta goes on these. It's because he's had a history of secluding players that it doesn't really side well for him in this situation. But okay, so no Aubameyang tomorrow. That's going to be a huge miss.
Is it?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a huge miss because of the alternatives. So, like, Aubameyang himself is not obviously a huge miss because obviously I don't think he's been good enough. And I guess this goes back to the fact that we know we need a striker and we know that that's going to come shortly. Might even come in January. You don't know. I think it will more likely come in the summer, but it might come in January.
Yeah.
But the alternative, so you have Lacazette, who can only last 60 minutes before he looks dead on his feet. You got Eddie Nketiah, who actually impressed on Monday when he came on, even if he missed a sitter. But he's leaving in 6 months, so is Lacazette. You got Balogun, who was hasn't appeared in the first team since the Chelsea game at home in August. And you got Martinelli, who has been unconvincing as a striker under Mikel Arteta and is best out wide. And he might need to start out wide if Emile Smith-Rowe's not fit enough to start. So what would you go with up front? Because I think that there might be a case that Arteta starts Nketiah here. But I know you wouldn't. So who would you start here?
I think Nketiah will start. I'm going to take... And it's difficult because I'm going to take Arteta at his word and that Emile Smith-Rowe is fit. But Arteta's word doesn't normally mean much to me. He tends to just say stuff and they don't make sense. I would play Emile Smith-Rowe on the left, Odegaard behind, Saka on the right, and Martinelli up front. That would be my front four. And I think we had success with that when we were in a difficult period last season. And I think that Martinelli is in very good form, even though it's only been 2 games. I think he's playing really well. He's put in some bright performances.
To the centre. Shuka is there. cross in. Maybe Dixon can.